if they lose the trust of retail, does it really matter that much? I'd be curious. Like, is there something? Is there some nuance here that I'm missing? Because it seems to me like the important trust is already lost, and losing the trust of like Joey and CJ doesn't make that much of a difference in the grand scheme. If the big money and the guys who are managing money for the plebs as well, by the way, have already kind of started to stray. Do I have that right? What am I missing there?
Yeah, no, I'd say you're right. I think the regular people are the ones who are on the edge. But I'd say the institutions, that's where I disagree with you. I think the institutions still trust. I think the
Mm.
institutions are still trusting. And I think a lot of that actually plays into the fact of all the different financial products and services that have been built around the dollar as the reserve asset of this current fiat system. So there are a lot of products that allow you to hedge your cash flow, hedge your position. I mean, you have derivatives, you have options, there's just a plethora of products built around US dollars that not just domestically, but internationally, right? You have the euro dollar yield curve as well. So there's the institutions actually trust more than the people. I think a lot of the people who independently manage their wealth have already come to the conclusion that the real rate is negative. Therefore, I don't want your yield. I want to buy real things. And that's where a lot of this positive price pressure is coming from the supply demand side. And then the other piece of that positive price pressure is coming through the continued dilution of the dollar. But if the institutions lost trust, either because those products and services were no longer offered, or because it was evident that the Fed lost control of the yield curve, then we're going to have really big problems. And I think what's most exciting actually for Bitcoin, I've been working on People's Reserve now for 2 years, uh, and it's been a grind. And we're getting really close to going live. And I'm sure you saw one of our tweets about our self-repaying mortgage product. So we have been building the same products and services that have built that institutional trust in the dollar. Even though the dollar is inflationary, they still have the proper tools and products and services to hedge, to manage, and to solve some of the problems that are created through the fact of that the government is inflating the dollar. And that allows them to kind of feel like they're outsmarting the system, right? With the real rate, you're still losing purchasing power, but
Mhm.
they feel like they're able to hedge and be protected. And that builds trust because you feel like you're delta neutral when you're really not, because you're using the wrong numbers to plug into your equation. That's what's coming for Bitcoin. We're building products and services that are going to allow people like us who have already lost that trust to actually come into the Bitcoin ecosystem and take advantage of knowing what the macro condition is and benefiting even more so. A lot of reminds me of that hash price forwards that you see now in Bitcoin mining, right? So now you can actually say if difficulty is going to go up, if hash price is going to go up. So as a miner, you can hedge your hash price,
Yeah.
right? We're a commodity producer. We're producing hash rate, and it goes back to the fundamentals of the traditional system, which is like if you're a farmer and you're growing corn, and you have if I farm all of my corn, I'm going to make $200,000. But what happens if everybody farms all of their corn and nobody has any problems and the supply is a little bit more than I thought it was going to be? I might only make $120,000. But that's not okay, because if I don't make 140, I'm going to have to shut down my farm. So you can go into the market and you can use a derivative and you can hedge your production of your corn. And you can say, okay, I'm going to go short on corn. So if there's an oversupply of corn and the price goes down, your short position properly hedged your production. So yeah, you didn't make $200,000 because everything went the way you thought and you took a bigger risk, but you made 180. But you only needed to make 140. So instead of making 60, you made 40, but you protected your operation.
Mhm.
That forward hash price is a very good example of the products and services that are coming down the line from real Bitcoiners and Bitcoin only companies who understand that Bitcoin is the reserve asset of the internet economy and the most pristine form of collateral in the world. And that's going to allow the people who are rightly so lost trust in the dollar to gain access to these institutional grade products and services in order to take advantage of their stack A lot of that wealth is stuck in the internet economy. If you have a big stack of Bitcoin, you have to sell it. You have to pay. That creates a tax obligation. You got to bring it from one system to the other system. I mean, there are products coming down the line that are going to let you post Bitcoin as collateral and turn it into a real world asset without having to give up ownership of your Bitcoin. And yes, you'll create a monthly liability, but much better to create a 6% yearly negative cash flow liability than to sell everything up front, lose any upside potential, and then have a 20% obligation. I mean, you could borrow against your Bitcoin for 3.5 years before you lose that same amount of equity. And in the dollar system, they can already do all this stuff. So the institutions have an extra level and layer of trust because of all the products and services built around the dollar as the reserve asset of the fiat system. But Bitcoin is now going to be positioned to compete. And I think that is going to help some of these institutional players who are already starting to see the writing on the wall. They're already starting to see that even though I'm properly hedged, I'm still losing. So where can I go? Well, the answer is you can go to Bitcoin. And in the coming years, all of those products and services are going to be there to empower not just the institutions, but the regular plebs like us.